I'm going to tell you about one of the strongest Warzone 2100 players of all time. He knows the best tank designs. He has the entire research tree memorized and knows advanced army tactics. He is ranked number 1 on the leaderboards and was the number 1 seed in the 2021-2022 low oil tournament. When you play against him, you don't try to win. You just try to survive. In this video, I'm going to tell you about his journey to first place. Then I'm going to try and beat him in a 1v1 match, just so you can see how terrifyingly good he is. Spoiler, it's going to be rough. But at the very end, I'm going to share some pro tips from him, so stick around. Now, let's get into it. His name is Nothing. To understand how he became one of the scariest players today, we need to go back to the beginning. Warzone 2100 was the first game that Nothing ever played. He played it on the PS1 when he was 7 to 8 years old, and he loved it. But it wasn't until around summer 2016 when he started to get into the multiplayer scene. Here, he began to play with the best Russian players at the time. By training with these pros, he gained a lot of game knowledge. When to use which weapons, what technologies to research, and what strategies to employ. Over the years, Nothing would participate frequently in competitive games and in various tournaments. This includes the most recent one held in 2021 to 2022. In fact, in this tournament, he was ranked as the number 1 seed. Most people expected him to win, with some saying, few people can outplay Nothing on low oil maps. He was the final boss. Unfortunately, he got too confident, and while everyone else was training to beat him, he decided not to train at all, and it ended up with him getting 3rd. This was not the result that Nothing wanted. So, when the rating leaderboard was opened from 2021 to 2023, Nothing wanted to prove himself. He was able to defeat top players such as Evo and Donald, and by the end of the season, he had easily ended up in 1st. So now you know the story behind Nothing and his rise to fame. Before I tell you about the pro tips he gave me to share, I'm going to show you what his skill looks like by fighting against him in a 1v1 match. I know that Nothing is stronger than me, so I need to play defensively. I'm going to build a line of bunkers here, 2 to 3 tiles apart. Then I can just position my tanks behind them and wait for him to attack. I'm going to specialize in cannon technology. It starts off with the light cannon, which then optionally upgrades to medium cannon, which unlocks the ultimate defensive weapon, heavy cannon. This classic research path is simple but effective. After a few more minutes of preparation, the battle began. Alright, here we go. He's attacking. Let me try and stay behind my bunkers here. Nothing has decided to specialize in rocket weapon technology. This weapon path is theoretically stronger than cannons, but it requires a higher skill level. I'm already losing units. I've already lost 10, and he's lost 0. This is not a good start. My strategy also specializes in tank armor. Not using cyborg infantry is risky, but this is the strategy I'm most comfortable with. How is he so good? Nothing is able to gain an advantage by positioning his army in a circular formation. This way, he can maximize his firepower and destroy my tanks before they can retreat. At this point in the battle, it was clear that Nothing was winning. My bunker line was destroyed and my army was retreating. Meanwhile, his rockets were killing my tanks with ease. I needed to change my strategy fast, or my entire army would soon be gone. But what could I do? Then, I had an idea. I noticed that his army was entirely made of Lancer rockets and tank killer missiles. These anti-tank weapons would be completely ineffective against cyborg infantry. I immediately put my research labs to work, researching infantry armor and cyborg weaponry. The only question was, is it too late? With a new strategy in hand, I began sending cyborgs to the front line, shielding my tanks from the deadly rockets. Oh no, I think it's over. Yeah. Nothing was simply too powerful. My remaining units crumbled under his advance, and my base was destroyed. Nothing had won. Wow, what a fight. That match was brutal. I gave it everything I had. Every unit, every factory, every last ounce of effort. And you know what? I held my own. I didn't get steamrolled, and I didn't get completely crushed. I lasted over 20 minutes against one of the best players. That counts for something. But if I'm being honest, it was never really close. I was constantly on the weaker side, defending, retreating, trying to survive. It felt like I was reacting the whole time, never really in control. After the match, I reached out to Nothing and asked if he'd be willing to share some insight. And to my surprise, he didn't just give a few tips, he wrote me an essay. So if you want to dominate in Warzone 2100, listen closely. These are the lessons from a top-tier player who spent years mastering the battlefield. Let's break it down into 3 key areas. 1. Learn from good players. 2. Study strategy. And 3. Review your matches. Starting with the first point, Warzone 2100 is a complex game, and when you're just starting out, it can feel completely overwhelming. But the best way to learn early on is simple. Copy good players. Watch what they do, see what they research, notice what they design, and mirror their strategy. This is exactly how Nothing got his start, and how I began learning multiplayer too, so I fully agree with this tip. I highly recommend checking out Vault's YouTube channel, where he streams multiplayer battles nearly every day. You'll see what he researches, what tank designs he uses, and how he positions his army. It's one of the best learning resources out there, and is also just a great channel to watch multiplayer gameplay. 2. Study strategy. Once you understand the basics, it's time to dive into Warzone's massive tech tree. There's a lot of different strategies out there, but according to Nothing, nearly every strategy has a counter. To learn these, you need to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of different weapons, tank designs, and research paths. For example, Hypervelocity Cannon is strong against tanks, and excels in long-range combat, but it's weak against cyborgs and lacks firepower without reload upgrades. Understanding these kinds of deep interactions is the difference between a good player and a great one. 3. Review your matches. Nothing's final tip is to review your matches, especially the ones you lose, because you will lose a lot, and that's okay. Some of the best players, like Nothing, got to where they are by constantly playing stronger opponents. When you lose, don't just move on. Nothing highly recommends to go back and watch the replay. Figure out why you lost. Were your units positioned poorly? Did you research the wrong tech? Were you too slow to attack? For example, in my match against Nothing, I realized that I would have performed much better if I had researched cyborgs and twin assault cannon. These decisions could have changed everything. AutoHoster games even provide detailed match data on the AutoHoster website for you to review. Stats, graphs, maps, and timelines. By following these 3 tips from Nothing, you'll be well on your way to mastering Warzone 2100. I'm sure that Nothing has even more to share. Don't be shy about asking a question if you see him in game. He's always happy to help people learn. If you're interested in seeing more content on multiplayer strategy, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to explore that in a future video. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.